Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters. We're on season 8, episode 21, entitled London Bridges. And so we pick back up with Andy effectively spinning the story to make Danny look like the feminist victim against the patriarchy, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop, which is not truly the case because Danny is nobody, just damsel, for sure. Either way, Tony's representation is outdone. She's taken aback at the sheer accusation of it all. But Andy is doing a pretty good job of letting them know, like, hey, this fact, this fact, this fact, and this fact, all of this is going to look good, you know, to a jury of her peers. So what y'all trying to do? And so the opposing counsel offers to give Danny her job back along with back pay because they know that this is not going to go in their favor, you know, in court. And Andy is like, no, I want $150K for her pain and suffering in addition to everything else that you offered. And Danny's leaning up and whispering to Andy, and she's like, girl, just the job is fine. I promise you, it's cool, it's enough. And Andy tells Danny to just trust her, and they kind of go back and forth about the amount. The two counsels go back and forth for the amount that we're going to come up with for the pain and suffering. So it looks like we're going to get pain and suffering for her. And, you know, of course, when you're negotiating, you start high at an unrealistic amount, and then you just kind of meet somewhere in the middle. And so they settle on $75,000 that Danny gets, as well as her suspension is lifted. She gets back pay, all of that for all of this that happened at the workplace because there was no real penalization that happened for the white guy at work or Tony. So everybody comes out scot-free. Everybody comes out happy, so to speak. All right, so it seems like we've all reached a settlement, and now Danny and Tony are left to speak to each other alone, and Tony wants to know how they ended up where they are. And she tells him that it's because he refused to listen to her by trying to be her savior, her knight in shining armor, and that's not what she wanted. All she really wanted was to be loved for who she was and where she was, for him to meet her where she was at and not constantly try to change her, and that is how they got here. And he sees it now, and he professes his apologies yet again. And he asks her, like, where do we go from here, Danny? And she's like, listen, I have no idea, but I think, you know, we just need to be basically back to strictly co-workers and just let that be the answer for now. All right, so Pam and Karen are trying to increase the sales for Roots to Riches because Miss Willis, I think, gave them a challenge to do so in whatever the time frame is. Let's just say the next 60 days, and she'll give them more investment money, whatever the challenge is that Miss Willis has put them in. And I'm sure it's for them to, you know, use those hustle muscles and show that they want to keep her on the team. Either way, they haven't made a dent in that number thus far, and so Pam offers up the idea that Maurice came up with using and promoting the hair care item as a intimate product. Don't know how that translates, but whatever. Either way, Karen is not quite on board, but they have to run some numbers. Either way, she tells her, like, let's do like a house party type situation, like a Mary Kay, candy coated, what is it? The candy coated, the bedroom candy type of parties and door-to-door sales while still utilizing social media. And so by the end of the episode, we see with Karen, she's gathered the team together to include Aaron and Karen's mama. Like, everybody's going to work to promote and to get this edge control selling. And she even offers her employees a commission for their sales of the product. And Pam's looking like, you know, are we really going to do that? And she's like, yes, because, you know, it takes a village. So hopefully that's going to get them where they need to be, you know, to keep Miss Willis on the team. Okay, Calvin finally reappears by dropping by Sabrina's place to explain himself and to, I guess, tie up loose ends because he moved to LA with Miss Trixie, and he just happened to be stopping by, you know, closing up the rest of his loose ends as far as his storage unit, and he decided to stop by Sabrina's. And he says that he needed to see her, and she's surprised at the fact that he would need to see her because you didn't even say goodbye before you left. Either way, he does admit, like, you know, it was a cop out. You know, I couldn't bear to face you. And he's like, I'm sure Maurice told you, you know, I moved in with somebody. And she's like, yeah, he told me about Trixie and how Trixie is more accepting of your tendencies to wear women's clothes and your sexual proclivities and all that other stuff. And congratulations. And she's like, of course, you know, Maurice kind of, he says, at least Maurice kind of exaggerated what was said and kind of left out what was said. Either way, he did end up with Trixie because she's more liberated in her willingness to participate and all this other stuff. She is a little less judgmental and she accepts him with all his proclivities, right? However, for him, it started to feel like a fetish, like she was fetishizing him. They didn't really get much into it, but let's just go ahead and make some assumptions because he is a black man, Trixie is a white woman. Either way, he said that he started to feel fetishized and he's over it, but he does think she didn't treat him like Sabrina treated him, basically like a person with thoughts and feelings and emotion, and he does thank her for that. And then he goes on to ask about Rich, but we don't get very far into that conversation. All right, Jordan calls Rich, and this is where we learn that he has been down at the county for about a month. He is thinking that his chances of coming home is looking real bleak, real slim, because they're going to try to tie the attempted unaliving of Gary to his second attempt on Gary's life by way of him taking his stupid self down to the hospital and losing control of his emotions. All right, so now he feels like his life is over because Andy and Gary have used him and he got himself in a situation and he should have never got down there, and he's mad because Penelope has to defend him and he should be defending her. Blah, 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 woe is me. And then he makes Rich promise to take care of Penelope if anything happens to him, sort of like a tie-in, and we're to assume that he's having like these unaliving himself type ideations at this point. And that's unfortunate, but did nobody tell you to take your ass down there, so yeah. All right. Penelope rushes to Robin to beg him to help Jordan, and they're right in the midst of Andy trying to put the moves on him before he heads back to the UK later that night because there's nothing else left for him, right? He's gone. And Penelope does everything but kind of beg and pleads with him for him to at least see what he can do for Jordan, and he does agree to that. I'm going to stop by the jailhouse on my way out, but that's as much as I can do. Like, I can't look like an ambulance chaser if I represent you, Andy, and your brother, but I do what I can. In the meantime, Tony stops by Danny's and he's anxious and, you know, he's rushing in. He's almost knocking the door down. He tells Andy like it's been a month since they spoke and he's worried that she would solidify that they were completely done at this point. And he finally offers Danny, and they're sitting there talking about the same issues again. And he finally offers Danny a heartfelt apology, the heartfelt apology that she had been needing so badly in this whole fiasco. And then he goes to drop down on one knee with the ring, and all she could do at this point is kind of give like a nervous laughter because how did we get here? Like I just sued you on behalf of your company, and here you are with the every kiss begins okay. Not sure, and neither is she. Okay. Andy catches up with Penelope on her way out, and she asks her how Jordan is doing. And of course, Penelope still has this proverbial chip on her shoulder, and about how their lives turned out, and blaming Andy and Gary, and blah 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 blah. We've said it a million times, right? And she calls Andy a cancer to any man who has the misfortune of meeting her, and that, of course, that conversation doesn't go very far. Okay. Gary finally makes it back to the office, and it seems like being in this office is like his bat cave. This is where he shines, and this is where he's not really sure how evil he's been sitting at this desk, but he feels like this is where he needs to be. He didn't even go home and wash his ass. He is here at the office, and this is where he's ready to unleash his wrath on anybody that ever did him wrong from what he could remember. Either way, with Hayden close on his heels, he still appears to not remember everything. And then Hudson comes rolling in, and Gary's low-key accusing Hudson of stealing from him. And Gary goes on to fire him immediately and expeditiously. So, yeah. All right, Danny tells Tony to get up off his badass knees. Sir, get up. You already know you're an old football player. You don't have time to be down there. Get up and let's chit chat. And she needs to know, like, what is wrong with them? Like she just sued the company. She just sued the company, and he decides that now is the opportune time to propose. Like, they're just a shit show at this point. Both of them are just crazy as hell. And he tells her, like, hey, well, both of them are talking, and all they can really do is laugh at their mess. And she tells him, like, this was the laugh was a relief, but it's not enough for me to jump back in the saddle thing to keep the relationship going. And she's not sure that she'll ever be enough for him, because he spent so much time these last few months trying to change her into something she's not, and she's not sure that he's not going to do that again. And she's suggesting that they just go ahead and quit while they're ahead. And he ain't with it. He admits that he was trying to change her. So for anybody that may have thought that Rich was wrong, he admits here that, he was trying to change her while in good faith or in good nature for the right reasons, still trying to change her. And he admits that if she gives him another chance, he'll never do it again. And so we'll see if she agrees in next week's finale. Well, tomorrow, because it's Tuesday and I'm real late. But whatever. Okay. Robin and Andy are flirting back and forth. Now she can kind of let her true emotions show. And he does admit that he's up for an appointment to be a judge here in Atlanta. I think that's the correct terminology, whatever. I think it was a judge. And then he's like, well, I can either stay here and be a judge, or I can go to the UK and help get that office up and running, so we can have like our international goals and objectives. But that's going to be up to you. And she's like, nope, don't make that up to me or any woman for that matter. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. And of course, Andy is a sucker for the love story. And he tells her, like, hey, I'm taking the last flight, the last UK flight out of here tonight. If you want me to stay, you need to come and let me know. If not, I'm getting on the flight. So, ciao. Whatever in the mahogany is happening, it's happening between those two. Okay, we see Hudson, and he's begging for his job. He's begging Gary not to fire him because, his backdoor scheme with Miss Willis has fell through, and so he's trying to salvage what's left of his life, I guess. And then Gary's like, nah, I'm good. You're fired. Like I said, get out of here immediately. And then he tells Gary, like, you're going to regret that. So I don't know what information he's collected, but I'm sure Gary's going to have more problems. And now Gary, he's feeling real strong, and he feels back in his evil era, and he's on a rampage, and he tells Hayden that he's going to make everybody's lives a living hell, whoever took anything from him, to include Andy. And then Hayden's like, not you going to get the people that did something to you and took your woman. And he confronts Gary about sleeping with Tamara. And then he does go on to confess to Gary everything short of putting a knife in him. He tells him, I guess I did come to that banquet hall to poke you up like a pincushion. I even went as far to grab a knife from the kitchen, but then I realized like you weren't worth doing fed time for, so I dropped it. I dropped the knife, and whoever did it, they did me a favor, but I didn't do it. And then he admits, like, I was only helping you with this whole power of attorney thing to see what you remembered, and since I'm in the clear and doesn't appear like you remember me doing it, whatever the conversation is, I can't really quote it, but basically he admitted everything he did up until the moment, which I don't think he did. He just admits like he's kind of part of the facilitation by way of him being there and grabbing a knife and dropping it, giving somebody else an opportunity to pick it up and take the baton. And so Hayden tells him like, hey, just consider us even. I ain't do it. Consider us even, but we not homeboys. And then he threatens Gary, tells him like, hey, don't you ever come near Tamara again, or you're going to need more than a hospital gown. And all of that is fine and dandy. But did you forget you were knocking down Miss Willis? Yes, after Gary and Tamara, but also your hands are also not clean? I don't know. I don't know what this chivalry thing is with Tamara. Probably more of a possession type thing, really. Now that you think of it. Not that I think of it, but whatever. Either way, and that is how the episode ends. Now we are finally at the season finale. Next week, tomorrow because it's Tuesday and we're late. My bad. Anyway, tomorrow's going to be the season finale, so I'm going to get this up ASAP. Either way, we see what something else happens to Andy yet again. We see Hudson holding Gary at gunpoint, and all of this gets to finally be tied up, and we get to move on to another piece of drama. If I'm not mistaken, I think All the Queen's Men is coming back. Or what's the other one? The cult one. I don't know. I know the Oval's back, but there's that cult one that's coming back as well. Either way, we'll have much more to talk about. Either way, in the meantime, let's talk about season 8, episode 21 in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is you feel like doing. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.